All right, Lyfe Jennings. Welcome to VladTV.
Thank you. Thank y'all for having me, man.
Hey, I'm a huge fan. Definitely a huge, longtime fan.
Thank you.
In fact, I was actually in the audience at the Apollo. It wasn't the Apollo in Harlem. It was like the Manhattan Center where they did the Apollo, where you performed. And you came out with a guitar, and like they had just booed a bunch of motherfuckers. And you came out and you just destroyed it.
Thank you, man. Thank you. That's crazy because that song that I did on there, Cry, I actually just performed at the Trumpet Awards, and I did that same song, and it was so similar. It just took me all the way back there, you know?
Right, right. I remember there was something about your grandmother that you said, and like the whole crowd, like as soon as you started, it was like 10 seconds in, the crowd just roared.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Oh yeah, man. Definitely, man. Big fan. So let's start at the beginning. You grew up in Toledo, Ohio.
Right.
And you started singing in the church. Mm-hmm. Well, what made you want to start singing?
I come from a singing family. Like my uncle and my cousins and stuff. Like they all used to sing. So we had got a group together. And since my mom always had us in church, it seemed like a good starting point.
Okay. So what was it like to start singing in the beginning? Like, was it something that you just took to right away?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything serious. It was just really Sunday services. But then when I saw that people liked it, when you're young, you always gravitate towards things that get you attention. So that was part of it.
Right. And the original group was called the Dotsons.
Yes, the Dotsons. One of my brothers and two of my cousins.
Dope. Dope. So why did the group finally break up?
Well, I think everybody just kind of went their separate ways. Like, when you're young, you have all the time on your hands. But as you get older, people start having families. They start having jobs. So people just kind of went where their life was taking them.
Okay. I mean, did you guys actually get to a point where it looked like something might happen, or was it more like a hobby?
Yeah, we had actually got offered a deal, but they wanted to offer me a deal, and they wanted to sign the rest of the group as a group. And it was just a lot of, backlash about that. So, I wind up not doing it.
Okay, so your group members had a problem with you just getting signed.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and then one of the group members is your actual brother and your cousin, so this is all family tied into it.
Yeah, they definitely all family, my fam.
Okay. I mean, was there a point where you were like, well, I mean, I am getting offered the deal, and this is something I've been wanting to do, and they're going to have to get over it?
I mean, of course, when you offer the deal, like it's not often a person get offered a deal. But again, it was also like the rest of the family, like, uncles and mom, all y'all supposed to stick together and all of that. So, it wasn't a huge deal to me.
Okay. So at one point during your childhood, right around 14, you started getting into some trouble.
Right. I mean, I was getting in trouble before that. I think that just kind of everything escalated at that point. Just, running the streets, with some guys, and, one thing led to another, which led to prison,
Okay, so I actually read about what happened. So it was like an arson situation?
Yeah, it was an arson situation.
Can you talk about it?
I really don't want to get all the way into that. I just say I actually wasn't the culprit in that situation. But again, family tensions and stuff like that, man. So I went on and took the little beef and laid it down for 11 years.
So you're saying it wasn't your fault, but you ended up doing 11 years.
Yeah, I didn't do nothing, man. And wound up doing 11 years.
Okay. So what prevented you from telling the police who actually did it?
It's a long story, man. It's a long story. But I just say, man, I used the time wisely. I didn't sit up and cry about the time, man. I stayed solid on it.
Well, I mean, you were 14 years old. I'm sure there was quite a bit of crying at some point in the beginning.
Well, not crying. When you 14 years old, your adaptability is a lot higher than in adults. because you're not used to anything. So when I got to prison, it was more or less a way of life. You know, I wasn't used to anything. It wasn't like I was out at the club or had some cars or a wife or anything like that. So I just kind of fell into it.
So at 14 years old, you get sentenced to 11 years. So that means that you get to they put you in a juvenile facility in the beginning?
Yeah, I was in juvenile first, and then went to prison.
Okay. So what was it like being in the juvenile system at 14, having that many years ahead of you?
I mean, I had been a juvie. I had did time juvie even before that. Right before that, actually, just came home
Okay.
from juvie. And again, like I had been in trouble so much at that time. It wasn't. I don't know. It just wasn't shocking to me. It wasn't a change in scenery. It was just something I had already done before.
Okay. Now, what was the big difference when you went from juvenile to an actual prison at 18?
It was a lot more serious. You know, because in juvie, like you pretty much got somebody watching you at all times. So, you know, if you get into something, you know, it's gonna get broke up quick, or, you know, it's just not really gonna escalate to that point. But when you get to prison, like, you know, every situation is some life or death shit. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think was the hardest thing that you went through during the time you actually turned 18 and went to prison?
Uh, in prison, you mean? What was the hardest thing in prison?
Yeah. Like, what was like the craziest thing you experienced while you were in there?
Uh, it was so many things. Uh, you know, just seeing cats get into it with knives, and you know what I'm saying, guards just standing around watching. So you know, it just really hammer home in your mind like this is some serious shit right here. Like, you know, there's no need in arguing with a guy or even having a discussion about something negative unless you're really ready to take it there, because everybody is ready to take it there.
Okay. Did you get into a lot of altercations yourself, or you kind of stayed to yourself?
I got a lot of altercations in the beginning, you know, young, high-headed. And I guess that lead up to your last question, say what was the hardest part for me. It wasn't really the physicalness, because I'm kind of a physical dude anyway. I think that, you know, I had a whole bunch of dudes that was in the joint just running wild, you know, on some gang shit or whatever. And when I started doing this music stuff, like taking it real seriously, I had to move myself away from that. And you know, it was hard to do for me, because obviously your homies are not only your friends, they're your protection and they're your peers too. So I just didn't want to, I just didn't want to do that no more. You know what I'm saying?